Pleasant evening, all. It's indeed my great pleasure to welcome you all for the sixth day faculty development program on research directions on future CMOS nano devices. Herewith we have Dr. T.D. Subhash, the resource person of the day. Now I request Mrs. R. Pratibha, Associate Professor ECE, to introduce the chief guest to the gathering. Welcome, ma'am. Pratibha, ma'am, can you hear me? Mrs. R. Pratibha, Associate Professor ECE. Ma'am, you can.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. Mic was muted. Sorry, you can proceed, ma'am. I request you to introduce the chief guest to the gathering.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Good evening, all. With pleasure, we invite our speaker for today's webinar, Dr. Subhash TD, who is a senior IEEE member, chairman, IEEE Photonics Society, Madras chapter, IEEE Madras section. Dr. Subhash TD is the professor of Electrical and Electronics Engineering and also the Dean of Academics and Research for Mangalam College of Engineering, Kottayam, Kerala. He has completed his Bachelor of Engineering in the field of Electronics and Communication Engineering and completed his Master's in Embedded System Technologies from Anna University in the year 2008 and 2011, respectively. He has done his PhD in the area of nanoelectronics from Anna University in the year 2016. He has 46 publications in the international and national journals and has 28 papers in international and national conferences in the area of nanoelectronics, nanoscale device modeling, nanotechnology, and wireless sensor networks. He is serving as an editorial board and reviewer board member for various international journals. Dr. Subhash has received the fellowship from the government of Japan to represent India for 2 weeks in Japan-Asia Youth Exchange Program in Science, Sakura Science Exchange Program, which was promoted by Japan Science and Technology Agency, JST. He has received travel grant and fellowship from IEEE Photonics Society, USA, to attend the IEEE Photonics Conference held at San Antonio, Texas. Due to his outstanding contributions in education, research, administration, and professional services, his biography was listed along with the World Professional Biographies at Marquis Who's Who in the World 33rd edition 2016, United States of America, and also listed along with 2000 outstanding intellectuals of the 21st century in the 9th edition at International Biographical Center, Cambridge. In this wonderful session, Dr. Subhash TD will be sharing with us the cognizance on the topic, research directions on future CMOS nano devices. Sir, we are proud that you accepted our invitation for presenting today's webinar. Thank you so much, sir. I hereby hand over the session to Dr. Subhash.
So thank you, Pratibha ma'am, for your nice introduction. So hope is it audible? Is it okay?
Yes, sir. It is audible and
okay. Okay, thank you. So if any interruption is there, please let me know. So first of all, I thank Pratibha ma'am for this nice introduction. Next, I have to thank Mr. Arun, who is the person who invited me for this wonderful section for sharing something based on CMOS nano devices. So before that, I have to thank the management of Panimalar Institute of Technology, because in terms of Madras section, the past 2 to 3 years, Panimalar Institute of Technology, student branch of Panimalar Institute of Technology receiving the awards, best chapter, best student branch awards. The reason is they have a vibrant student branch counselor named Mr. Arun. He's the reason behind that, because we used to conduct a lot of programs, and now for the past 2 months we can see a lot of webinars conducting across the globe. I'm not talking about India, across the globe. So based on my experience, and I have noticed that Panimalar comes first, not only in India, not only in Tamil Nadu, across the world, because for even a day, individual day, for a day, within a day, in a day they used to conduct some 3-4 webinars. So it's not an easiest job. Advertising, sending certificates, getting feedback, arranging speakers, avoiding technical errors. It's not an easiest one, because I too conducting these programs, it's weekly once actually. That too, it's a big task for us. It's not an easiest job. Definitely, it's a great effort from the entire team, faculty members and students, IEEE volunteers of Panimalur Institute of Technology under the leadership of Mr. Arun. So my special congratulations and appreciation to the entire team on behalf of IEEE Photonics Society. Next, regarding in this section, and I request all the participants, please mute the mic. So now I'm going to start the section. So after the completion of this section, we can ask any questions. At the same time, the chat window, I will send my, I will send my details so that if you have any queries and further you can reply me. Now about the topic, let me come to the topic. So research directions on future CMOS nano devices. So this is the 7-day FDP, which is purely based on the title as groundbreaking technologies. Nice topic chosen by the organizers. So this is the 6th day. I hope all the participants are already, the past 5 years, you may have aware with a lot of new topics. So this is not a particular topic. The title itself says groundbreaking technology, which means different technologies are there. So today I am going to highlight something about CMOS nano devices. That it means research direction. It doesn't mean that I am concentrating on a particular material or particular technology. I'm giving a wide exposure to you. And this program, this next 1 hour is mainly I have concentrated for the freshers. I mean the persons who are about to enter into the world called research. It's a new area actually for us. And when I'm talking to the organizer, he said that the majority of the participants are freshers. I mean the beginners. They're about to register their PhD. So I think this is the right topic which I have chosen for the research directions and future CMOS nano devices. So before I enter into the topic, let me ask certain queries. One is, before registering a PhD, our aim as a fresher, our aim is to register a PhD. Maybe for our survival, maybe the management pressure, whatever it may be. So by first we are urged to select our supervisor. Next, the university, then interview. It's a big task. And now in Anna University, it's toughest thing to clear the PhD interview. So it's first thing. So once you enter into the PhD, register a PhD, of course, the coursework. Then once the comprehensive waiver is over, our major task is to publish an article, which is the primary thing for the submission of a thesis, which means to publish a paper in an SC index journal. So if you are published in the sense, I mean, an Anna University is an actual one, so that you are able to submit the synopsis or thesis is the first thing. So first our aim is to register for the PhD. Once register, our main aim is not to publish the paper, to complete the PhD. For that, for the completion of PhD, we need a primary concern that is called our publication. At least one SC index journal, which is required by the university. Depend upon the university, maybe some universities is Scopus and some university 2 SCI. I think Anna University now it's 2. I think I am not aware. I think 1 or 2, minimum 1 is required. So depend upon the universities, whatever it may be. First, our aim is to register for the PhD. Then thing is to complete the PhD at earliest. This is our main scenario. Actually, scenario in the sense of pressure. So once you register PhD, then to complete the PhD. So when you complete the next question is when you are going to complete the PhD. So further we record a publication. So before entering into PhD, not even selecting a grade, choosing the topic, more than topic, choosing the right area is very, very important. So in terms of electronics, it was thing. So a lot of things, electronics communication comes under a lot of things. So I'm going to deal with nano devices, which is one of a rare area actually. If you see the researchers, we can count the number of researchers and we can count the number of institutions, number of people working in this area, not even Tamil Nadu, in India, in globe. It's very limited actually. We can count the number of participants and we can count the number of researchers. So what is the source? You see, many people used to select the supervisors based on their area. It doesn't need it actually. Doesn't mean that the supervisor is aware of your research work. doesn't need it actually. So if you have confidence with your work, so what is a confident word means? What university requires? University requires one or two publication. If you're able, if you have the right confidence or good confidence to publish your paper in a C index journal, then that is more than enough. So that you can choose the supervisor for signing for that seat. So choosing supervisor doesn't matter, but choosing area is the biggest factor here. I've seen a lot of people who are suffering to complete the PhD. That's an experience. We can tell a lot of issues, lot of experience I can share. Because now the time is limited, I'm not going into that. So choosing my objective is choosing the right research topic is very important. First one is choosing the area. Then under this area, we have to narrow down. So what is your topic? So today I'm going next 1 hour. I mean today means next 1 hour or 45 minutes. I'm going to explain what are the direction, what are the possible ways are there in CMOS nano devices, because electronics is as an electronics and communication engineers, the CMOS and nano devices is a very important one. And what is nano? Nano is something different actually. Nanoscience, nanotechnology, nano devices. So nano device is part of a nano technology. So it's mainly based on material science. So what is the era? There are a lot of eras are there. After the invention of wheel, we have an industrial revolution. We call it as first industrial revolution. So means a lot of things evolved. Next we have atomic age, computer era. It's almost ended. The next second industrial revolution or the next era is of course it's nano era or nanotechnology. We are in the field of nano age. This is the second industrial revolution. A lot of research are booming, evolving. So if you are doing this, you're choosing this area for your research, definitely it will be having a bright future. At the same time as what you call, you can complete the research at the earliest, say 3 years or 4 years. And another important thing is you can see the history. I'm not telling anything like you can see the history. The persons who completed the PhD in the terms of nano devices or nano area, I'm sure that they will be completing the PhD within 3 to 4 years. Maximum 3 is the minimum means you can take 4 maximum. This is what I have experienced. I have to complete my PhD within 3 years actually. So this is the thing. So this is the objective behind today's lecture. Now I am entering into this section. So overview of the next 45 minutes talk is first is 20th century inventions, semiconductor devices, current status of silicon CMOS. Silicon is the base actually. So as a faculty member, if you're teaching your student silicon devices, basically concepts for nanosync integration, future scaling in terms of our devices scaling plays on vital role. And research direction, which is smart society, smart cities, so that is smart society. What are the possibilities to do to pursue your research? Next is we can see something about the revolution of electronics. So we can start it with the basic electronics. I am going to explain about 2075. Now it is 2020. We can predict the 2035, 2045, 2025. The future. This is the we have starting very much century. There are many stuff come.
Sorry for the interruption, sir. Your voice is not audible.
Dear participants, sorry for the inconvenience.
Is it audible?
Yeah, yes, sir, it is audible.
Okay, so those things happens. Okay, sorry. So let me start. So comparing our human with the semiconductor devices, the brain is very important. Brain is compare as integrated circuits. Then our eye and ear as sensor devices, mouth as RS and opto devices, stomach as PV devices, hands and legs as power devices. So here comes the miracle. So first computer ENIAC made by a huge number of vacuum tubes. So 1946. So you might have heard about the olden days, the computer, the size is big. Actually, we are after invention of computer, a lot of things evolved. Same time, so the size is the factor because it is made up of vacuum tubes. So now, what you have to do is you have to reduce the size. So we have to replace this vacuum tube with IC. So there comes our mobile phone. See the size difference. So the big size computer is now in our pocket. We are using as watch. That is the or PC, pocket PC, or we can tell us our mobile phone. That is based on our low power consumption semiconductor devices. So after the invention of ICs, these things has changes. So needless to say, but CMOS technology is indispensable for our human society. All the human activities are controlled by CMOS. Living, production, financing, telecommunication, transportation, medical care, education, entertainment, etc. Everything is controlled by CMOS. So without CMOS, there won't be any computer in banks. Well, the economical activities immediately stop. And of course, we are using the mobile phone. Many of you are hearing this lecture or viewing this lecture with the help of mobile phone. Cellular phones does not exist. So everything is based on your CMOS devices. So let me have a brief about the history of semiconductor devices. In 1947, first point contact bipolar transistor was developed. It is germanium semiconductor invented by Bardeen and Barton. They received the Nobel Prize. In 1948, first junction bipolar transistor. It's germanium semiconductor material, which is invented by Shockley. They also won the Nobel Prize. In 1958, first integrated circuits. It is germanium semiconductor. It's invented by Gilby. They also won the Nobel Prize. 1959, first planar integrated circuits invented by Noyce. And 1960, first MOS transistor by Kong, that is silicon semiconductor device. In 1963, first CMOS circuits evolved by Shaw and Van Lass. See, 1947 to 1958, 3 Nobel Prizes. So let me give a hint here. So those who are about to do the registration of PhD or about to do the PhD, they're searching for a new area. If you do something in material science, in future you might be a Nobel Prize winner. So I'm giving this hint via this webinar because if you see the history, many Nobel Prizes are awarded to the persons who are working in materials. Let me tell the future also. See, electronics started by the invention of vacuum tube. That is a triode in 1906. It was invented by Lee D. Forrest. It is a thermal electrons from cathode controlled by grid bias. This is the basic mechanism of a transistor. So this Lee D. Forrest has 4 ways. Actually, this is not needed for our subject. Why I shown this is she has 4 ways. This is a rare image which I got it from the net while I'm Googling. So in 1906, he has married Lucy Sheridan, and 1907 Nora Blunt, and 1912 Mary Myers. She's a singer. Another 1930 she's an actress. So it's a funny image which I got. It's a rare image which I got it from the Google. That is the reason I added about Lee D. Forrest, who is nothing but the inventor of the triode. Next, however, they found amplification phenomenon when investigating germanium surface when putting needles. See, there comes how the transistor is evolving. This is the first transistor, even though Lee D. Forrest has shown something in 1906, but the exact amplificant purpose, the exact application of a first transistor we called as bipolar junction transistor. It's not FET, actually FET is an advanced. It was evolved in 1947. That's the first transistor, bipolar junction transistor using germanium device by, you are all aware of this, William Shockley, Bardeen and Brattain. You can see the images, is Shockley, Bardeen and Brattain. These are rare images which we used to get. Next, see that how they evolved, the things are going on. It's coming to the next level. The invention of the transistor, electronics era begins. So once the transistor invention start up, the electronics era begins. So 1947, Bardeen, Brattain and Shockley invented the first bipolar transistor, which awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1956. Next, after the later 10 years, see the difference of the research. 1956, 1947, after 10 years only, the modern MOSFET. That is 1946, it is BJT, now it is MOSFET. After 10 years, the modern MOSFET was born. It was invented by Atala and Kong. That is, for the next 50 years, the 2D structure of the MOSFET transistor remains unchanged. It's one of the examples, a paper which is published in 1963. See, 2D structures. In your research area, we can go for 2D or 3D. So normally we used to do 2D. There are simulations tools available, software is available. We can proceed with 3D. So if there is a paper which has evolved in 2D, you can make it as a 3D. So the cost is also ready. That's very, very important. So you have to update not only the number of transistors integrated in a single IC chip, but the cost also reduced. So Moore's law is not just about density of transistor that can be achieved, but about the density of transistor at which the cost per transistor is the lowest. So based on this, Moore's law in 2017, 28th March 2017, Stacy Smith, the executive vice president of Intel Corporation, says that it's a pretty powerful law of economics about this Moore's law. We can bring down the cost of any business model within 2 years. A car can drive the equivalent distance to the earth and sun on a single gallon of gas. Then agriculture productivity would be improved to a level that we could feed the planet on a square kilometer of land. Space travel, by now we could be zooming at 300 times the speed of light. So everything is behind the Moore's law. So Moore's law is achieving. See, from few to billions of transistors. So number of transistors integrated in a single IC is doubled every 2 years. See, from 1970 to 2010, I have shown in 8086 processor, it's evolved in between 1975 to 1980. See, now we are teaching our third year students microprocessor. The processor which we used to teach is 8086. It's an old technology which evolved in 1975 to 1980. But now we are dealing with i3 processes. But the universities, the syllabus is not updated. So we have to concentrate all those things. We have to update the things when we are teaching students. So sub 10 nanometer CMOS transistor will be realized with new technology. So one is new technology is important. Then concern of integrating such huge number of transistors, it comes under technology. Then 16 GB, size, larger than the world population, comparable for the number of neurons in a human brain. So, which is equivalent to the Richard Feynman statement. Then it is founded 128 gigahertz, it's comparable with those of galaxy. And concerns of nano CMOS integration, what are the concerns? First one is too huge power consumption, which means there is more power consumption, of course, heat generated. So if there is more generation of heat, means the device will damage. Then too huge variations in transistor characteristics, which means it comes under design. When we are doing design, we know the IV characteristics. We know the basic MOSFET's IV characteristics. When we are designing, there won't be any huge variations so that your design becomes wrong. Then too many number of transistor resistors to manipulate. So if there is more number of transistors, of course, the design is complex. So design crisis evolved. So no merit of downsourcing in performance and power because of CRF interconnect cannot be reduced. So downsourcing, there is, as I said, there is a limit for downsourcing. Beyond that, there will be some technical problem arises in the design. Then who will pay for the huge production cost? So production. Whenever the technology changes, production cost varies. For example, so for a single foundry, say if you are using second and fourth common material, semiconductor material devices, so the foundry cost is 300 to 500 crores. When you go for third to fifth common materials, it's doubled. So it means you have to replace the foundry. So whenever the technology evolves, you have to replace the foundry. So the investment is two ways. So this is the biggest drawback. There is a reason why in India, we are not spending such amount, a huge amount for production or a manufacturing of devices. See, it's a problem for huge production cost and investment for different technologies. So whenever the technology evolves, of course, see, it is nothing but then the storage devices. So if the number of size or the size increases, of course, the production cost also increases. So this shows that whatever the technologies, how the production cost increases, investment increases. I have mentioned in amount with the help of million US dollar. Now this is one of the example how much amount a foundry, some companies invested for a foundry. Fab Lab is in Taiwan. They invested $3 billion US dollar in 2011. I'm telling. Another Singapore, they are mentioned as 2004, 3.6 billion investment. So, but in a country they're investing a lot. But in India, there won't be any foundries. But in a research point of view, you can see IIT Kharagpur, IISc Bangalore. They are having some small foundry in research point of view. We can develop some small transistors in micro scale ranges. Then when do we start planning for next wafer size transition? So see, in 1990, 200 millimeter, 2001, 300 millimeter, 2012, it is 450 millimeter. Now 2021, it's an assumption. We are expecting it is 670 millimeter, but it says solidly around 9 years for that. Then microprocessor trend. See a difference between 1972 Intel processor, 2002 Intel processor, 2008 Intel processor. The length, actually gate length, 10,000 nanometer in 1972. Then in 2002, the gate length is 70 nanometer, and in 2008, the gate length is 25 nanometer. Per performance, the frequency increases. It's from 0.0075 gigahertz to 30 gigahertz. If you see in the red, it is indicated as increase in power consumption. At the same time, the heat also generated. We have to find alternate technology for the production of heat. Then some of the concerns, power and heat increase. Maybe it is not efficient to increase the clock frequency and number of transistors. First thing. Then there will not be big merit without improving the operating frequency of board. So whenever you're doing something, unless the operating frequency increases, it won't cease that it is a high performance device. The main job of my PC is editing or document, whatever it may be, but it's needed, such an extremely high clock frequency should not be necessary. So when you are developing a product or designing a thing based on the application, you have to choose. So if you need some editing works, You don't need to go for high configuration devices, so that you can use some low configuration devices. Whenever you're going for high configuration device, what happens? The cost increases. Then improvement of PC algorithms such that using file searching method, Google will save the power. This comes under power. Then downsizing. Next, variation of transistor characteristics. So system and circuit design will assume such variation. So if there is any variation, of course, it will, in the design point of view, reflect their characteristics. Then if too huge variation, the reconfigurable circuit and system designing can avoid such transistor with such variation. Then suppress the variation at a certain level. We can offer many transistors as the designers want. It depends upon the designer has to design. Based on the application, we have to choose how much transistors needed for our design. It is also important to use a larger device in the circuit depending upon the usage. So everything depends upon the application. The noise, of course. Since it's an electronic devices, naturally there are noises. We can't avoid it, but by using some techniques, we can suppress the noises. We can reduce the noises. All the electronics, because electronic circuit consists of lot of inbuilt, lot of components, which means naturally there are certain noises evolved. The only thing is we can suppress, we can't avoid the noises in electronic devices. But in terms of some huge applications, radar applications, its noise plays a vital role. So we should be concentrate on those things. Then designing crisis for human power. We could express a process. Of course, a lot of the designs happens with the help of CAD, CAD designers. So India is a place for designing. A lot of designers are available in CAD, development tools. Then we can do only whatever we can design in that period with the given manpower. So then manpower, we can do something. So multi-level system circuit design such as multi-core of microprocessor will save the human power. For example, how we have to, during the design, how we have to reduce the manpower. So designing plays a vital role. So once the design is succeeded, then only we can go for fabrication, because we know that the cost is very high. The cost of our technology is very high. So we have to reduce the design. And interconnect, this is another technical term, so which you have to consider during the design. So you can continuously set that 2 or 3 micrometer generation that interconnects limit the downsizing. So to reduce downsizing, so interconnect plays a vital role. So unfortunately, it has never happened before. So we can concentrate on interconnect also. Then huge development and production costs. This we can't do anything. Leading edge technology company is memory, microprocessor, DSP, whatever may be the foundry cost is high. So, but at the same time, they are getting the profit. But investment is said, due to that initial investment, many companies hesitate to go for manufacturing. So that to India, we won't have any foundries for that. Then they should cover the cost. So this is one of the diagram shows how much revenue and profit based on the investment they got. So Intel, Samsung, and got some. So Japan is a role. So if you see in Toyo University during first stage, they have some 3 to 4 foundries based on this new technology, compound material technologies, and they can generate this chemical. It's nothing but high electron mobility transistors. Individual foundry costs some 300 to 500 crores. And future scaling issues, so reducing gate length. So when another technical term is, if you reduce the gate length, of course, operating frequency increases. So operating frequency increases definitely. What happens? So performance of the device increases. So now in 2030, we are telling that we have somewhere around 20 nanometer scaling. So beyond that, what happens? The biggest question mark. So it's one of the hint by increasing. So by reducing the gate length, we can increase the performance, but there is a limit. So the biggest question mark, what happened beyond that? This is another area. So beyond the limit, what we have to do? Another research area here. And anyway, we will reach the downsizing limit in 15 to 20 years. So it is another predicted. So anyway, from another 15 to 20 years, we can use these technologies. It will not happen suddenly. So there is no downsizing from tomorrow, and you need to find a new company from tomorrow. So these are things, assumptions. So probably period of each generation, our node will become longer and downsizing eventually. See, after the limit of downsizing, what we can do? No technology node change, and then no design of new microprocessor. It's biggest question mark. So we have to find a new technology for that. Same lithography mask can be used for many years. So manufacturing side, we can use alternate technologies. Same equipment can be used for many years. It's another question. companies reach to make the most advanced microprocessor with cheap cost, then price of microprocessor and even equipments becomes extremely cheap. So of course, now you can see the cost is also reducing. So it will be very good thing for microprocessor user. However, it will be very serious crisis for advanced countries and companies in semiconductor industries. So whether design engineers will lose jobs after downsourcing. So these are the limits of downsourcing. So once there is the limit crosses, these are the question arises, but I'm sure there are a lot of technologies evolved. So there are many jobs after the downsourcing. The answer for the previous questions. Technologies for the introduction of new material, new process, new structure. It will not be completed in 15 years. You can do new material, new process, and new structures. It will not be completed in 15 years. Note that introduction of new material usually take more than 10 years. So if gallium nitride materials evolved, so another materials to come to the market takes around 10 years solidly. There are also other many works remain. What is hybrid integration, 3D integration, miniaturization of board, efficient algorithm we can concentrate. This would be the revolution of manufacturing process. See, these are the technology research areas. You can find new material, new process, new structure. All these things you can concentrate for your research. So as I said, Nobel Prize in 2014, these are the 3 professors who have received the Nobel Prize for physics. They have developed a gallium nitride based blue light LED. So what semiconductor materials are related to Nobel Prize? As I said, if you concentrate something in this area, there are possible for you in the future to receive the Nobel Prize. In 2014, they received the Nobel Prize for gallium nitride devices, 2010 for carbon and graphene device, and 2009 silicon devices. Then 2000 for compound semiconductor devices, heterojunction device, 2000 again germanium device, 1973 germanium. Then total, see how much Nobel Prize are received for the material science researchers. So if you are interested to receive Nobel Prize, please concentrate to do some research in this material science area. And it's Intel news. Let me have some short Intel news. So in 2018, December 3rd, Intel announced it's beyond CMOS to the future of logic devices. The news from Intel. We are looking for revolutionary, not evolutionary approaches for computing in the beyond CMOS era. They have developed a new device that is MESO, magneto electric spin orbit. Logic device is built around low voltage interconnects and low voltage magneto-electrics. The main objective is to bring together quantum materials innovation with computing. So they are excited about the progress they have made and they're looking forward for the future demonstration. This is in 2018, Intel has identified a new device, CMOS device called magneto-electric spin orbit device. And in 2019, October 30, so Intel has come to another news that the Global Forum Subjective, they have developed a forum to accelerate adoption of new communication infrastructure that will bring together an all photonics network infrastructure, including silicon photonics, edge computing, and connected computing to meet our future data and computing requirements through the development of new technologies, framework, specification, and reference and design references. In 2020, now it's recently May 12, 2020 May 12, Intel invests $132 million in 11 disruptive technology startups. So Intel, it's a news from Intel's senior vice president states that Intel Capital identifies and invests in disruptive startups that are working to improve the way we work and live. Each of our recent investments is pushing the boundaries in areas such as AI, artificial intelligence, data analytics, autonomous systems, and semiconductor innovation. Intel Capital is excited to work with these companies as we jointly navigate the current world challenge and as we together drive sustainable long term, which is a recent news from Intel. Another May 19, so today is June 6, this is May 19, 2020. Another news is where tomorrow begins. Intel's Component Research Lab come up with a new news that it's a revolutionary process and package technology that keeps Moore's law moving forward. The word Moore's law moving forward. We don't usually work on today's problems. We work on tomorrow, searching for enabling solutions, typically 5 to 10 years ahead of production. The job of Intel is to invent, to demonstrate, to develop game-changing and revolutionary processing and packaging technologies to enable Intel's process technology leadership, which is said by Intel Senior Fellow. And on May 21st, another news from Intel. Intel announces 2020 US Partner of the Year Awards. It is for excellence in accelerating innovation. They appreciate each and other partners by continuing collaboration for new technologies to life for our customers. This is another thing Intel has announced. Now let me tell about some research directions. What are the research possibilities for smart society? For smart society, three things are mainly. One is energy saving, energy creating, and advanced information processing. Together we called as green nano electronics. So it can be subdivided into power device, solar, it's booming, solar another era, then integrated. So these are the three. We have to narrow out the research areas: power device, solar cell, integrated circuits, commonly called as green nano electronics. Then let me go through some power devices, techniques which can realize high efficiency electric power conversion. That is gallium nitride power devices will break down voltage 10 times higher than silicon device. Then this is an example for gallium nitride power device. So we may learn about single structure device. This is sandwiching of different layers. That is silicon is a substrate, buffer layer. Then gallium nitride. Gallium nitride means compound of two materials, that is binary materials. Then aluminum gallium nitride, that is aluminum gallium nitride for trinary materials. And you can concentrate on this high-K dielectric. So these are the structure, and these are the properties for diamond power devices. So diamond is another important material which has a band gap of 5.47. So diamond is a semiconductor material. So now it's another era. We are using diamond for, it's under research actually. A lot of papers already published, but not fabricated practically. And so what happens is, in this design, you can change the material, you can change the size, you can change the gauge, you can change the dielectric material, whatever it may be, but provided your characteristics won't be changed. You have to concentrate all those things. Then solar cells. So next generation solar cells, high efficiency solar cells, a lot of research is going on. So we can concentrate all those things. You can use different multiple materials for to evolve or to achieve high performance solar cells. The nanowires, another new area. Silicon nanowire or multiple next compound materials nanowire technology. It's another technology. Then ICs, you can concentrate something on integrated circuit. That is the realization of advanced nanoelectronics devices with high performance and low power devices. So new technologies based on novel materials and structures to realize high performance and low power consumption electronic devices. This is our objective. You can use new technologies, new materials, new structures, but you should produce high performance and at the same time low power consumption devices. It's one of another technology, silicon nanowire, it's a 3D structure. Then high performance gate insulator technology, another technology, and it's a HEMD device, high electron mobility transfer device. See how much layers are there, different layers, and in the high-K diode they are using some other materials. You can replace those materials. Then tunnel FET device is another technology, which is a tunnel device. And revolution, next we can see the revolution of electronics. What is the next revolution for device technology? In 1900, electronics evolved. So next, 1970, microelectronics evolved. Then what about next? What, when? So it is nanoelectronics. So 1900, it is electronics evolved. 1970, microelectronics evolved. And now it's nano era or nanoelectronics. So nanoelectronics may be not a revolution, but it's a great innovation. It's yet to come. Middle term for 2025, today is 2020, 2025 to 2045, what is next 10 to 30 years, what are the technologies we can predict? What will be our society after 30 years? It's a wearable, minimum or no wearing. So we do not want to bring many electronic items such as smartphone, battery charger, extra battery, PC, etc. Wherever in the environment, sensor to detect what human want to do. Display to see, speaker to listen, wireless power supply if necessary. See, this is what our next generation people like. They won't need to bring laptops, mobile charger. Now when we are traveling, we all have laptops, mobile charger, mobile phone. See, all these things are wearable devices. This will be inbuilt in our dresses, clothes. This is the next technology we have predicted. This burden to the data processing of the smartphone will become light, so that the processing become lighter, and even no mobile smartphone may be necessary. So the prediction is we won't take mobile phone also. So now everyone is having mobile phone. We might have forgot our purses, but we never forgot our mobile phones to take wherever we travel. So sensor, short-length wireless communication, display may be powered by solar cell and operated by small microprocessor will become important. So next prediction. So what will be the LSI fabrication process in 2030? There will be no miniaturization. Thus, cost reduction for fabrication by new concept will become important. Today's large size wafer process is necessary. Today's large cleaning room is necessary. For example, how about the chip size fabrication with many parallel chip fabrication? These all things are question mark. So today, all these things are there in 2020, but in 2030, it's a great surprise. I don't know what happened. So, the great surprise, is it possible, all those things? And for minimum no wearing, smart sensor, shutter communication display, everything is powered by solar cell. And the last thing is for fabrication cost reduction. So new fabrication process idea is necessary, because as I said, for fabrication now the cost is high. So new fabrication process might be evolved. So another long time, about 2045 to 2075, prediction 30 to 60 years, introduce the brain algorithm into semiconductor microprocessor. Direct communication between electron devices and biosystem, brain, insects, animal, human. So use brain of insects for data processing and self-assembling by using DNA. It is another technology you might have not heard, braintronics. That is, in a mosquito will act as your data transfer device, not device. This mosquito will act as the brain, sensor. See the various parts in the first, second slide I shown about humans comparing with semiconductor devices. Now the new technological braintronics, mosquito will transfer the data. Now we are using drone for transport. We are now in the future, we are predicting mosquito to do all the process. Some of the example how mosquito can act as a communication device. So next, this is about after 2040, what are the technologies evolved. So you can consider, it's a roadmap. You can consider new materials, new process, new structures. Next, some SO-silicon on chip technology can use, and 3D integration. So miniaturization for PCBs. So low cost revolution. This each and every year it will be increasing. After 2040, I hope will be braintronics, introduction of algorithm of biosystem, which is brain of insects and humans. So braintronics is for 2040s is a big task for the young generation. So you can concentrate and you can think of it about braintronics, so that you can do something, you can learn something interesting, so that you can become an inventor into such new areas, so that you can become a Nobel Prize winner also. Then long term from 2045 to 2075, that is 30 to 60 years, self-assembling using DNA. It's kind of a dream. It's another era. Assembling a structure such like a parole designed by DNA is another prediction. And dear participants, do not believe a textbook statement blindly. Do not believe a textbook statement blindly. Never give up. No one knows future. There would be a solution. Think. Or wait the time. Someone will think for you. So, should be an engineer. It's my quote. Do what you will. Develop what you have. Be satisfied with yourself. Real master cannot follow others. Don't concentrate on existing. Try to create new things. So good luck. So hope everyone is believing in luck. But the luck which I believe is L stands for learning. U stands for understanding. If you start learning, you can understand the concept. If you understand the concept, you can become a good communicator. You can become a confident communicator. C stands for communicator. So what about K? So now you can ask him, what about K? L stands for learning. U stands for understanding. C stands for effective communicator. Of course, if you have all these three, you will be the good or you will be a knowledgeable person. So K stands for knowledgeable. L stands for learning. U stands for understanding. C stands for effective communicator. K stands for knowledgeable person. So this is the luck which I believe. So I wish you all the good luck for all the participants. Thank you very much for your attention. Once again, I thank Mr. Arun and the entire organizing team behind these wonderful programs. So now I can expect some few questions. Hello.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the informative session. Now I request participants to post your queries in the chat box so we can take few questions to the speaker. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful words about our SP.
Thank you. Thank you, Arun.
Thank you. And there is a question, sir. How antenna design will change with nanotechnology? What would be the trade-off
to be considered? Yeah. So now a lot of research are going on in antenna. So antenna, you can use some different materials, different structures. So you can see if you go for some nano devices in terms of nano communication purpose, you are using some in terms of wireless sensor networks. They are using antenna technologies. Antenna is there actually, transceiver is there. So here this nanotechnology we can use this nano technologies in wireless sensor network. So antenna can be used for wireless sensor network. Wireless sensor nodes for the fabrication of sensor nodes. This nanotechnology will be used for in that sensor node. The antenna is there actually, transceiver is there. For that purpose, this nanotechnology will be used.
Thank you, sir. Do you think quantum computers will replace normal computers, which is built using transistors because of heat and power?
Yeah, actually, heat and power is a big factor in terms of this high power devices. But nowadays, this is another research area. Research is going on how to suppress heat. So as I said, all the electronic components having noises as well as heat. So when there is high power devices, normally if you see an example, say in terms of your ATM or your telecommunication tower, near the tower there are a lot of huge rooms are there. In that room you can see a lot of cooling devices, refrigerators are there, ACs are there. So it is one of the technology to reduce the thing, but we have to find some alternate thing. But definitely these things we use, but we have to find an alternate thing. So whenever there will be high power devices evolved, definitely its nature, heat will also evolve. But we have to find alternative method to suppress all those things or reduce all those things. But we can't avoid. To be honest, we can't avoid, but we have to find another things.
Thank you, sir. You said about mosquitoes will transfer data in future. How these predictions were made, sir?
So actually, sir, to be honest, so now the research in terms of nano devices, the nano electronics are what are called the pioneer research. As I said, there are the limited number of researchers are there across the globe. So the pioneer people are the active people in nano device research are Japanese. So it's based on the Japanese researchers' prediction. I have included that slide there. It's purely based on their prediction actually, because they are beyond Indians actually. They are doing a lot of things. They are spending a lot of amount investment for this research as well as manufacturing or fabricate a lot of devices. Their prediction, I have included that slide here. It's Braintronics.
Thank you, sir. What are the wearable solutions you envision for future that can be used along with your clothing, and what do you expect their sizes to be?
No, actually size is nothing but I see the main thing we can use wireless sensor nodes. It's one of the technology. Already a lot of research papers are there based on this wearable. You can search in Google. A lot of research papers are there, wearable devices actually. So if you can wear your shirt or whatever it may be, all the device will be inbuilt. You can a lot of projects evolved in terms of medical also. So if you wear all those things, your heartbeat, everything will be sensor and it will be automatically forward to your family doctor. So they can monitor from there. so that they can give some assistance for your health. So this is about medical, but apart from that, what the prediction is, as I said, we won't take our mobile phones. We can utilize with the help of wearable device. Now you can see a lot of wireless headsets are there. So same as like that, it won't be. I won't think it will take for another 10 years. Based on my prediction, within another 5 years, all this wearable electronics will evolve in the market.
Thank you, sir. How wearable technology simulations can be done? Can you name some open source software or tool?
So regarding the software tool, actually Intel is using a tool called TCAD, Technology CAD. It is Synopsys technology tool, but it is costlier. It will be $10,000 for a single, for 3 uses for 3 years duration. 3 uses, 3 years validity. The TCAD is available, which is manufactured, but it is cost. That in Tamil Nadu also a lot of institutions using. I can tell the institutions, very few institutions having such opportunity. But as I said, the cost is $10,000 it will be around 8 to 9 lakhs rupees. So none of our institution is ready to invest a huge amount for research purpose now based on the current scenario. This is one of the costliest tool. Then as you call open source, yes, lot of open source tools available. So recently we have hosted a program called FOSS tools. It's open source tool, which is one of the professor named Krabinsky from Switzerland. If you are willing, say Arun is willing, I can provide this contact so that you can host. It is paid. So another section, he will be highlighting you what are the open source softwares available. Basically, this year we are hosting an international conference. He's a speaker. So we thought to bring him, but due to this COVID, it is about to be hosted in a virtual form. So physically he won't be available, and we are invited for 2021. So it's another section where he used to explain all the open source softwares available. If you are interested, I will give this contact to Mr. Arun so that we can have another section based on this FOSS TCAD tools. It's open source tools available for the designing of these tools.
Thank you, sir. One final question. As the size is reducing, there is a trade-off of many parameters as signal transmission power, repeaters, etc. How we can decide the reducing size?
Yeah, actually, directly we can't reduce the size. One method I have said is by reducing, by scaling that, we can increase the performance. But there are certain technical parameters we have to consider. So device by device, it gets varied. So which is a device you are using? If you are going for designing a FEMT device, they're having certain parameters. So beyond that, there are some tunneling efforts, some effects of occurs actually that you have to consider. So directly you can't tell that I can reduce this to 20 nanometer, 19 nanometer, 18 nanometer. So if you do such kind of things, the technical error occurs so that your device will damage actually. So in terms of fabrication issue, scaling is the biggest issue actually. Directly you can't reduce it, but you have to consider the technical terms. But at the same time, you can concentrate some other material, replacing some other material, or you can reduce some other parameters. You can change something instead of directly going for scaling. You can do some other things. So that is the thing in normal I used to advise for designing thing, because designing and as well as fabrication get varied. So designing you can tell you can reduce, but in terms of fabrication, the device won't work. I mean, device will vastly damage. So in terms of design, please concentrate more than material side instead of going for this scaling issues.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Mrs. R. Pratibha, Associate Professor, ECE, to deliver the vote of thanks. Welcome, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and create vision for tomorrow. Melody Betty. Department of ECE, Panimala Institute of Technology, IEEE PIT Student Branch, and IEEE IETE ISF is grateful in thanking the speaker and the participants who showed their presence in today's FDP. Our sincere thanks to the speaker, Dr. Subhash TD, for spending his valuable time in providing the knowledge about the research directions on future CMOS nano devices. It was a very informative session. You showed up the insights and area where young researchers should focus on. To sum up, it was an excellent informative session, sir. Thanks for joining us and delivering this talk. Thanks for the participants.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful words and wonderful session. I hope there will be a new perspective of research in this domain after
Definitely.
listening to your. Thank you, sir.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
I also extend my thanks to all the participants who have joined here. There is a small announcement regarding tomorrow's session. Tomorrow's session is being changed from, instead of normal session 4:30 to 6:30, we are hosting it from 11 to 1. I request all the participants to join sharply by 11. So we will wind up by 1. And the feedback link is posted in the chat box. I request all the participants to fill the feedback form. Thank you once again for joining. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful session once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, I request you to fill the feedback form before you leave the meeting. And tomorrow's session will be starting sharply by 11:15, and we will wind it up by 12:30. And half an hour we will have some queries and feedbacks from the participants. I once again request all the participants to join us sharply by 11 a.m. Thank you once again for joining.